Both Christian McCaffrey and Mike Thomas return in Week 9. One does good, one does bad. 3 Tampa Bay wide receivers drop virtually nothing because the quarterback throws for 209 and 3 INTs on Sunday night. On the other side of the field, Drew Brees tosses 4 TDs. Christian McCaffrey and Mike Thomas may have come back, but Chark and McLaurin come back to life. Who do you buy low entering Week 10? I can tell you Derrick Henry is on my list. All of this and more coming up. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. I'm Smitty. Take a lap. Thomas Brady crapped the bed in royal fashion in Week 9, 22 of 38, 209, 3 INTs, no TD passes, and of course that has a trickle-down effect on Godwin, 3 of 6, 41, no TDs. Antonio Brown, 3 of 5, 31 yards, no TDs. Mike Evans, 4 of 6, 64 yards, no TDs. I know everyone's going to get down on the wide receivers, and, I am too, but no one's going to eat when the quarterback can't deliver the football to him. Do I still believe in Tom Brady? Yeah. Do I think he's capable of ups and downs? Obviously, we know he is. No one's going to buy your Tampa Bay wide receivers. You can't go selling them on the low. Tom Brady still has a lot of appeal. You can't just get rid of him or bench him for some scrub. If you've got a comparable option like A-Rod, then of course start A-Rod moving forward until Tom Brady figures this out. But Tom Brady has a ton of weapons. I don't think it's time to panic on Tom Brady or the wide receivers, but certainly this was the worst game they could have possibly had, and a lot of people lost their Week 9 matchups because of Tom Brady and the trickle-down effect his performance had on every Buck wide receiver on that offense. And Gronk dropping a touchdown pass didn't help. And Mike Thomas only 51 yards, no TDs, kind of a mediocre return, but we knew that could happen with his first game back. It obviously helped Drew Brees to get him back in the lineup. It's a little unfair to be judging Drew Brees all year having the best wide receiver in football not at his disposal. He gets him back. Ironically, he blows up. I think he could bounce in and out of 6, 7, and around that range. He could finish 10, he could finish 8. All those quarterbacks between like 7 and 10 are really close each year, and Mike Thomas will be okay. Mike Thomas might be a good buy low. We know he's back. He had a bad game. People are expecting more. People are desperate and losing. So I'm going to put Mike Thomas on the buy low list, and I'm going to do that right now. And here are those Drew Brees stats I was talking about. 222 and the 4 touchdowns. Good game, Drew. And while we're on the topic of buy lows, I think it's important to toss out a couple guys. I think number 1 would be DJ Moore. Could he be inconsistent all year? Absolutely. But I think he has potential wide receiver 2 upside all year. He could just be up and down, but I go get him. And I go get him specifically in package deals where he almost gets thrown into the deal. Whenever, the common theme here, a slumping player I believe in, whenever a player like Mark Andrews has a bad game, I go fishing for a trade, a buy low trade. 22 yards, someone's going to be upset about that. Go poke around. Tyler Lockett, 40 yards. No one's going to be happy about that. Poke around. Derrick Henry, I know you're not going to steal him away, but his owners will not be happy. What does their record look like? Do you have a guy that's doing really well that you don't believe in or you think could drop off? Take a stab at Derrick Henry, 68 yards. He has these games and his owners do get frustrated. And I get calls at heysmitty.com and emails at sleeperu.com through my email service where people email me and ask me, Smitty, all day long. Derrick Henry already today, from the end of the game until now, I've got at least 10, maybe 11 questions on Derrick Henry. Should I trade him? What can I get for Henry? What can I get for Henry? Most of the questions are, what can I get? They don't even know what they want yet. There's nothing on the table. They're asking me to create a trade package for them by looking at their roster, which is what I do at sleeperu.com and heysmitty.com right here. So if you need that for your team, and they're asking me to come up with some trade idea for them. They want to send Henry packing. Why? Because they know they could turn him into 2 players. So that means the market's there for you to go buy Henry on the low. I know because of the volume of questions I'm getting about what to do with Henry. And I hate that question. What do we do with Henry? Or what do we do with Lockett? What do we do with Andrews when a good player is struggling for a couple games or even one game, like Henry, for example? What do we do with Henry? Like someone's expecting me to say, we're cutting him, we're getting rid of him, we're sending him packing. No, we're not. Henry has a lot of upside, and Henry, to me, his schedule looks great. Go forward, he is a top 5 to 6, maybe top 5 to 7 overall player from week 10 on, and I go get him at every turn based on the temperature I'm taking of my own audience on Derrick Henry. He's the best buy low out of everybody, in my opinion, given that volume of questions that I'm getting. Comment below if you have an idea that you want to run by me for Henry. Chark, welcome back. We knew he'd return. A lot of people had some dilemmas. Some people had to put him on the bench because they had, quote unquote, better options that look better on paper. But Chark is back. He could be inconsistent, but he might have found his quarterback. We'll see about that. 146-1. He looks so good. And his counterpart, the guy that everybody doubts right along with him, Terry McLaurin, 7 targets, 7 receptions, 115 and 1 TD. These are 2 players I've touted all offseason long as being potential top 12 overall wide receivers, disguised in wide receiver 2 or 3 bodies, and these guys might be on their way. They could be inconsistent. It all boils down to the quarterback play. It's been very inconsistent for both of them at the quarterback position all year, but I like what I see. I'm excited. Will Fuller continues to impress and score touchdowns. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight games with the touchdown. Unbelievable. He had a bye week in week 8, but he's had a great year. 1, 2, 3, 4 100-yard games and 6 straight games with a touchdown. At this point moving forward, wide receiver 2, that means he's probably locked in your lineup depending on the players that you have. But even if you had good wide receivers, you'd have to lock them into your flex at this point. A.J. Brown looks so dominant. He's only going to get better. Imagine if he gets more volume. A.J. Brown, defenders. The guy dominates the space around him like no one we've seen since Calvin Johnson. Aside from the 2 or 3 inch difference in height, AJ Brown and DK Metcalf, pound for pound, are the most dominant players in the NFL at the wide receiver position, and they will be for some time. 101 and a touchdown. He looks so dominant on that touchdown. Watch it back if you haven't seen it. Josh Allen, I told you to buy this guy low. Hopefully you listened and were able to pull it off. 415, 3 TDs. He looks so good. I get so tired of people saying, oh, he's not accurate. He'll never be accurate. He sucks. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Look, we heard the same thing about Peyton Manning in basketball. We heard that, Durant's never going to be a good shooter. It's all noise. People shoot out that noise too prematurely, and we're going to see this guy improve. He's still very young. He's still maturing. He has arguably the second strongest arm in the league, maybe behind Mahomes. Maybe his arm's stronger than Mahomes. Stafford, Mahomes, and Josh Allen, literally the biggest guns in the league, and Allen will only get better. His offense is great. He's got Diggs to throw to, and that brings me to Diggs, who is a wide receiver 1. And if you own him, you better not be asking me, Smitty, should I start blah, 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 or Diggs, because you could find a way to get him into your wide receiver 2 spot, because he belongs in your wide receiver 1 spot. 118 off 9 receptions. The only reason he's been inconsistent and tagged as an inconsistent player is because he's never had consistent quarterback play. Well, now he does. Josh Allen is going to be a beast for years and years to come, and his favorite target is named Stefon Diggs. McCaffrey back in a major way. 18 totes in his first game back, 69 yards and a touchdown, caught 10 of 10 targets for 82 and a touchdown. All the dude does is score touchdowns and get volume. Aside from Dalvin Cook, who is the clear number 1, who I'll touch on next, McCaffrey should be the 1.02 if you're drafting today. Here he is. Dalvin Cook, the uncontested number 1 overall pick if drafting for week 10 on only, or if you're drafting from weeks 1 on and you go back in time in a time machine. Either way, he's 1.01, and if you go into 2021, how is he not the 1.1 or 1.2 at least? In Dynasty, where do you rank him? I think he's top 3. 206 and 2 TDs. He scored a touchdown in every single game he's played in 2020. He missed one game due to injury, but has scored a touchdown in every single game he's played in 2020. I never say things twice. He's on pace for 1961 on the ground and 29 touchdowns. Animal. Beast. Number 1 overall. Probably your 1.3 if drafting today would still be Alvin Kamara. He rushed 9 times, 40 yards, and 1 touchdown. He caught 5 of 6 for 9 yards. Normally you get bigger games in the receiving department, but still your 1.03 if you're drafting today. Tyreek Hill, is he the second or third ranked wide receiver? I think Adams is number 1 for most anybody, but this guy has a case to be made that he's the number 2 overall wide receiver go forward. DK has the same kind of argument going on here. 7 of 9, 108, and a touchdown. He was on my top 10 bold predictions for a reason in 2020. But in all fairness, this guy was in my top 10 bold predictions too, and he's not doing well. Now, is it time to panic? We already panicked. His TD salvaged his day, but let's be real. Will he get that TD every game that he's lacking the volume? I have 0 questions about his talent. 0. I have only worry about his usage, and at least they're still getting him the ball in key situations, and you can't take away the touchdown. That was part of his week 9 outing, but are we worried? Yeah, but you're not going to sit him as a flex. If you draft him as your running back 1, you're certainly not going to put him on the bench as a flex play. You can at least find room for him as your flex spot. I'm going to, and make sure you know this. If you bench him, everything's based on the script. Will they script him out, or will they script him in and him have 150 and 3 TDs? That can happen just as easily as him having like an 8 or a 4-point game. So you can bench him at your own risk. I know you're frustrated with him, but I'm running him out there as at least a flex option moving forward. I don't care what anybody tells me. The upside is there. A lot of times KC will change up what they do based on the game script. And just when you think they're going to pass, they will come in and run heavy and run the ball, and there's nothing we can do about it. And you're not going to sell low, because what are you going to get? Taylor scored a touchdown but fumbled the ball. He only had 27 yards. It's time to panic. The only way I go after this guy is as a throw-in. So stay away, put him on the bench, but maybe have him thrown in a trade. Christian Kirk, time to lock him in to a wide receiver 3 role, 123 and a touchdown. The guy looks good. Kyler loves him. He's very talented. He looks pretty cemented into good production go forward. Subscribe, follow, tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell everybody, and get on over to heysmitty.com and order a phone call now. Get on over to sleeperu.com for the written content, the rankings, and I will see you live Tuesday night. And don't forget to watch The Football Show, my new sitcom series here on YouTube on my channel. Just look for it. It's called The Football Show. Episode 2 just dropped. It's fantastic. Comment, like, and make sure you share the heck out of that thing.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. I'm Smitty.